Militarily Speaking, episode 84, Jodi, K9s for Warriors.
I know we're getting up there. This episode, we talk with Chris Luna and Wyatt Haynes with K9s for Warriors.
Welcome to Militarily Speaking, brought to you by Armed Forces Bank. This is Tom McLean, Jodi Vickery. I'm the military retail exec for AFB, and Jodi, newly indoctrinated. I can say that for the next 3 years.
You should say newly anymore.
No, you get a 3-year when you get a job title change.
That's good. Then I can't get blamed for things.
Right. Chief Digital Officer. You could say the previous Chief Digital Officer for Armed Forces Bank was responsible for that. We didn't have one.
Oh, yeah. Not my fault.
Yeah.
Again, welcome to our show. We're excited to have you listening and learning about our guests, Chris Luna and Wyatt Haynes. I think Tom and I are going to tag team introducing both of you. So we want to take just a second and tell our audience a little bit about you. Chris Luna has gone by Luna most of his life. It was his nickname in the Navy and to friends and family. He served from 1996 to 2018. As always, for all of our guests, thank you for your service. It wasn't until after the COVID-19 pandemic when he realized he was struggling in his life after the service. Luna is part of a motorcycle group with other combat veterans. He says that was his therapy for a while. He called it wind therapy. I kind of like that. Yeah. But Luna admitted he didn't know how to healthily cope with PTSD, so he had turned to alcohol. That was always my crutch. It was how I dealt with everything, he said. One evening, he had dinner with a friend from his motorcycle group who brought along his service dog from K9s for Warriors. Luna noticed the special relationship his friend had with his service dog. Luna was hesitant, but decided to apply for his own battle buddy. To ensure every veteran is paired with the right service dog, Warriors go through several rounds of interviews, and this allows the staff and trainers to know more about their lifestyle before pairing them with a service dog. The trainer asked Luna, "What do you want to get out of the program?" And he responded, "I just want to be loved." Luna then met his service dog, Astro. I think I need to see a picture of Astro. I have a visual in my mind of what Astro might look like.
Astro's not with you, right, Chris?
She is, but I can figure out how to work this camera.
Oh.
No, all right, let's see it. Look at I know.
Hi, Astro.
We say "oh," and the
I know our audience can't see it, but rest assured, audience, Astro is beautiful.
Yeah. We fact checked.
Yes,
and it's true.
Yes, so thank you. During their first few nights together, Astro woke Luna up with pitter patter of her nails on the wood floors. I have 5 dogs, so I can completely relate. Luna assumed,
but Astro's a lot cuter than your dogs.
Yes, probably much better behaved as well. Luna assumed Astro had to go outside and use the bathroom, but night after night he would take her out and she would just stand there and look at him. One night, Luna realized Astro was trying to wake him from a nightmare. She was sensing changes in his breathing and movement, and while K9s for Warriors service dogs are not necessarily trained to do this, service dogs will often wake their veterans from a nightmare because of their strong bond and the dog sensing when something is wrong. Luna realized his service dog was the perfect match for him. He says his relationship with Astro has been life-changing. He sleeps better. He doesn't drink the way he used to. He feels a renewed sense of purpose and confidence. And he's now using his story and success to inspire other veterans to get the support they need. K9s for Warriors is all about 2 lives, 1 leash. Everybody makes an impact, and I am forever grateful, he said. That's a pretty good bio.
No, very good story.
And we got to meet Astro. Want to tell them about our other guests?
Before I introduce Wyatt, So Astro, I'm going to go out on a limb here, okay, Chris? It was named after some pitcher for the Houston Astros. Is that right? Like Lance McCullers or something?
So actually, Lance McCullers Jr. of the Houston Astros is the sponsor for her. It's the second dog.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's the second dog that he has sponsored through K9s for Warriors. So he's done it more than once. But this time, apparently, he wanted to find a Houston veteran so that he could name the dog Astro and be local here in the area.
That is cool.
That's awesome.
Do you know anything about the other dog?
I do not. But if I could do a shout out for Lance McCullers Jr., because he's getting a lot of hate from the way he pitched this weekend.
Everybody, as he should, people get critical of performances, right?
They do, but everybody here in Houston wants to sit here and say, "Oh, all he cares about is his coffee business, this, and this." But look at something simple that is not in the headlines that's making a massive difference for somebody like me, and I'm not the only one that he's out there helping. So,
more to him than just the pitching.
That is correct.
The public sees. Yeah, for sure.
You always hear stories about athletes doing great things in the community and giving back like that. But I don't think we focus enough on that we focus more on what they do on the mound or at the plate or at the goal line.
Right.
So, yeah, thanks for the shout out for Lance. Let's introduce Wyatt. So as Chief K9 and Business Officer, Wyatt supports the senior leadership team in enhancing and expanding K9s for Warriors and its mission. He also oversees the K9 training program, ensuring every dog is provided the best care and training that meets the strict standards of the organization. Whether our dogs become a service dog, a therapy dog, or are adopted by a loving family, Wyatt will ensure every dog fulfills its purpose. Before K9s, Wyatt worked at UPS for over 26 years, most recently as the Florida Director of Transportation. He also served 4 years in the U.S. Navy as a gas turbine mechanic on the USS Hugh City, parenthetic CG-66. Wyatt earned his Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from Southern Illinois University and is currently completing a Master of Business Administration from the University of Phoenix and a Master of Divinity from Liberty University. Wyatt also volunteers and serves on the board of directors for the Blessings in a Backpack program. Ooh, we might have to talk about that, right? Providing food to thousands of children in Duval, St. John's, Clay, and Nassau counties. Those are all in Florida. He's married to Bridget and has 3 children. And Wyatt enjoys spending time with his family, riding bikes and watching sports.
So with the bios shared with our audience, I'd just say welcome to both of you. It is an honor to have you on the show talking about K9s for Warriors today. And I don't know which one of you would like to tee this up, but we always like to at least give our guests a chance to tell us big picture about the organization, a little bit of a background about how it came to be, and then we'll dive off into a plethora of questions that we've got for you.
You stole it.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
That's the word of the day.
It's our Easter egg word in every podcast.
Yep.
I can go ahead and kick it off. K9s for Warriors is an organization that is determined to end veteran suicide. That is our mission. And K9s for Warriors is the nation's largest provider of trained service dogs for military veterans who suffer from PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and/or military sexual trauma. And our whole goal is just to serve these veterans as honorably as they served our country. Our program is a lifelong program that is provided to the warriors at no cost to help them overcome those invisible wounds of war. And K9s for Warriors is actually founded on a mother's love, and her vision is still very much alive. It was founded back in 2011 by a mom by the name of Sherry Duvall. She started this program after just seeing her son return from the war in Iraq with PTSD. He ended up doing 2 tours on his first tours where he really suffered this PTSD. And when she was just watching her son suffer from this condition, no matter how many pills he took or how many therapy sessions he went through, it just didn't work. And she was determined to find an alternative treatment for her son. And she noticed that because he trained dogs, she noticed that the only time he was himself was when he was around his dogs. So where doctors had failed her son, Sherry realized that a service dog could actually help. So she also believed in rescuing dogs from high kill shelters. So because we rescue dogs and they're who's recruited for this job, we're actually saving 2 lives in this process. And our motto is we save lives at both ends of the leash. So just a cool kind of story. I mean, if you go back to 2011, Sherry started this out of her garage. She literally had some veterinarians sleeping on her couch, and she was just determined to do this one at a time. And you fast forward now, we have 4 beautiful facilities, 2 in Ponte Vedra, Florida, 1 in San Antonio, Texas, and 1 right around the corner in Helotes, Texas. And I'm proud to say that, you know, from this vision out of a garage back in 2011, we have now paired and potentially saved over 1,100 warriors. And on top of that, 2,000 dogs have been saved from shelters. And this is all of no cost to the veterans. So very proud of where we've come, but we still have a long way to go.
That's awesome.
Well done. Yeah, you know, some of the stats, I'm sure we'll get into some of the stats too, but I was reading about 20 vets die by suicide every day, and 1,000 plus dogs are euthanized, right? So Jodi and I are both fans of rescue dogs too. I've had 3. My daughters have had their share of dogs that are rescue dogs too. So we're putting them to good use, and they just want love.
That's it.
And purpose, a dog's purpose. That's a movie too.
We are unable to say no to dogs at our house. We have 4 Chihuahuas and a red heeler. So, and I think my husband would keep getting more.
You guys can foster for us, and that way you can give them back.
I think we're actually at the limit for the county that we live in for how many
That's
dogs
fair.
you can have.
That's fair. Okay.
So there's a unit limit?
There's like a unit limit on dogs.
Really?
Yeah, we have 5 and our neighbor has 5. So like in just this 2-house place, there are 10 dogs.
So if you got a 6, you'd have to keep it hidden.
We'd have to, stash
All
it
right.
somewhere.
We'll keep going down the road too, because Jodi and I, she and I have dealt with other organizations like K9s. So we kind of know a little bit of the process too, that there's sort of the formality of it, right? The application process. And Chris, you may have had to go through that, and maybe the process has changed over the years since 2011 when the organization started. But either one of you or both of you want to talk about the application process or the criteria and managing through the process, because I'm sure you get inundated with them, and determine how the pairing up process, if you will. So maybe talk about that for people that are interested in going to your website and being eligible for taking advantage of the service you provide.
Can kind of talk about the criteria, and maybe Chris can talk about the experience. For us, all warriors have to have a diagnosis of PTSD or traumatic brain injury and or military sexual trauma. They can simply go to our website, K9sforwarriors.org, and there's a place to sign up. We do get a lot of applications. With every application we get, we speak to every warrior. There's a lot of interviews that take place. There's assessments that take place. And we have to also check and make sure that they have the right home setting. And most importantly, we've got to get to know their family a little bit to make sure that their family is accepting of this process as well, because they're that warrior's advocate. And if the spouse or the child or the parent reject the dog and the warrior were to unfortunately have to give the dog back, that could be detrimental for the warrior. So we have to make sure that they've got the right setting and they've got the right support system around them. And then most importantly, they've got to get this signed off by a mental health provider that they're eligible to come to our program. And we do get a lot of applications, and we go out of our way to try to make every one of them work. Unfortunately, this, what I call a secret recipe, isn't going to work for everybody, but we go out of our way to make sure. And if they're accepted, they're put on our list. We have a little over 300 people that are on our list right now. It's about a 2-year waiting list. And unfortunately, with the statistic you just said, that 20 of our veterans a day taking their own life, there's a long way to go. Our goal is to get that number down to 0. So we expect with more stuff like this podcast and people learning more and more about K9s for Warriors, they're going to find out more and more that this is the healthy way to get the help they need to fight these invisible wounds of war that they're dealing with.
Yeah, well said. I agree that information awareness, and we always talked about 45,000 military nonprofits out there, and sometimes the ones that are really doing good work out there just don't get showcased, or people just don't run into them. And so any way that we can get the message out for you, we are proud to do that for you.
We thank you.
So Chris, why don't you talk about the process you experienced when you got Astro ultimately?
So whenever I first signed up, they did have about a 4-year wait list at the time whenever I signed up, which I was kind of okay with because I wasn't sure if this is something I really wanted to do. So I was like, okay, this gives me time to do it. But with donations and with people contributing and doing this and that, or whether it's monetary or by property or whatever K9s does, that allowed them to open up the facility out there in San Antonio and Helotes, which then cut the wait time from 4 years down to 2 years. So cut the time in half right there. Now, throughout that process, like Wyatt had said, there is many interviews that go into place. And the reason they do these interviews is exactly, they take a lot of pride in their pairing process. And so I did an initial interview, and some of it's via paper, and then some of it's audio interview, over the phone. And then I think I did one at 6 months. Then I think I did another one at 90 days out. Then I think I did another one at 30 days out. And then the day before I got my dog Astro, they did another one. And then when the process works, it's such relief for the K9 staff, because it's like all this time and effort that they put into their process to see now this pairing work out. It's like, okay, everything we did worked out right. Because again, it can't be easy for them. And like he said, it doesn't always work out. So to kind of see it work out is a big relief. And so even whenever you get paired and you go through the program, they do follow-ups as well. So when we first get home, I think I did a week interview, and they actually did a live interview. I think we did it via FaceTime or Zoom or something like that. And then I think we did another one within 30 days and this and that. So a lot of it, they want to see how the dog is doing in that home environment now that they have left the K9s facility, to ensure that we're doing well, the dog's doing well, the pairing is successful, and we're good. And then, because some people can think that's intrusive, so they take it a step further back to where it's not so intrusive, and they do follow-up interviews. And they're just like, hey, how are you guys doing? Do you need anything? This, and this. And this is kind of where I think Wyatt mentioned it's a lifelong adventure. So just because you graduate doesn't mean they're done with you. No, I mean, I get a follow-up at least every month from K9s for Warriors. So that's kind of how the process is for an end user. Is, yes, there's a lot of steps that go into it up front, but it's really there to make a successful pairing. And then again, once you graduate, they want to continue to make sure that both you and your battle buddy are successful as you continue on the journey.
Yeah, I think another part of that process I'd love to hear about is the training aspect of it. And so, given that you're trying to save dogs as well, and you're using rescue dogs, I don't know if you find them when they're puppies or if you're taking dogs at all ages, but I'd love to hear a little bit about how that training process unfolds. And then, Chris, from your standpoint, at what point, so they're doing the interviews that you just described at 6 months, 90 days out, at what point did you engage and how did you get engaged in the training and facilitation of that transition as the dog was preparing to come and live with you? And maybe that's a two-part question, but yeah.
Yeah, I can shed light on that. The hard part in this industry, a lot of people have breeding programs, and we're pulling the majority of our dogs from these high kill shelters. So when it comes down to what does the dog need, you never know what the dog has been through once you rescue this dog from that shelter. They could have been abandoned, beaten, hoarded. So there's so many different variations. So some of the dogs that we take about 6 to 8 months to train, and some take over a year. And unfortunately, not all of them make it because we are working in the rescue field. And there's a lot of dogs that we say get career changed. And I'm proud to say that we have the ability to repurpose our dogs that get career changed in some cases to assist and help our first responders. We have a station dog program, which is where if the dog cannot become a service dog, but it's exhibiting a lot of the strengths needed to become an emotional support dog or a therapy dog, we place these dogs in first responder locations, police stations, fire stations, 911 call centers, the Border Patrol. And we have about a little over 40 of those out and about. And that is starting to get a lot of traction as well. We're starting to get a lot more requests for those dogs. And any of the dogs that cannot obviously become either the service dog or the station dog, they get adopted out. And those dogs go to a loving family. And I can tell you, again, if you're interested in adopting a dog, K9sforwarriors.org, you can go out there and see them. And I promise you, there's a chance you'll have the most well-trained dog on your whole block, because these dogs they have a good basis of training underneath them. There's just something about it that we just don't feel comfortable with pairing with a warrior. And we're very transparent about that. And I'll tell you, when I walk around the town and people see the logo on my shirt, I get more people that say, "Oh, I love your organization." And I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And they're like, "Because I adopted a dog from you." I'm like, "Oh, wow. Okay, well." And they just go on to say how great the dog is. So again, it takes different time frames for that, but all of our dogs are fully trained that we pair with a warrior before the warrior ever meets the dog and ever shows up. And I want to hit on the puppy real quick. You'd mentioned puppies. We do have a puppy program. We have puppies that are donated to us, and they usually come to us when they're between 8 and 12 weeks old. And we use volunteers. They are the most dedicated, amazing volunteers you can imagine. They take these puppies after we receive them, and they take them into their home, and they spend sometimes over a year with these puppies, raising them, helping us teach them. We partner with the raisers. We have our trainers go to their house if they're willing, or meet them in a park, or bring them on campus. And we're working and training these dogs from day one. And when they get to be a little bit over a year old, we pull them back to our campus. We fine tune the training of those puppies, and then they're paired with a warrior. So again, if anybody's interested in volunteering and raising puppies, who doesn't love a puppy? Just go on our website. There's plenty of opportunities, and we'd love to have all the help we can. And it's fun. It's not easy giving the dog back. Trust me. It's
Yeah, I
not
bet
easy,
that would be super
but
hard.
it's fun.
Yeah. No, I bet I did see all the dogs on your website. I was scrolling through. I'm like, please let there not be a Chihuahua on here.
You won't find those. No, you won't find
Yeah,
those.
that's my
Phew.
husband would sign up
look,
quick.
Look away. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then, Chris, at what point did you engage, and what kind of side-by-side training did you get? Because you and Astro had to figure out how to do things together, I presume, right?
Yes. So we don't get involved until it's time for us to go show up on campus. And so we show up on campus, and then they have what they call dog day. And that is whenever we get presented with our dog and we get paired up together. So then we start, all they tell us to do is just go to your room and go love on your dog. And it starts that bonding process, right? So we get to start building that bonding process. So then as we start the training process, it just makes it that much easier because we've started bonding with our dog. And then boom, next thing you know, you start training. And I will tell you, these dogs are so well trained, because you got to understand, we're nervous. We're in a new environment. We're this, we're out of our element. But I'll tell you what, K9s, and maybe I'm just lucky with Astro, but as we're going through the training process, sometimes she's looking at me like, hey, knucklehead. She already knew the commands because she had been trained so well because the instructors, the warrior trainers, are demonstrating. So she already knows what's coming. And so then if I'm kind of messing up, she's kind of looking at me like, hey, knucklehead, here's what we're going to do. But again, we show up on campus. It's 3 weeks worth of training, and their whole time is now spent to us. Like Wyatt said, the dogs have already passed everything. They know exactly what they do. So now the concentration is on us, that we are successful handling our dogs, and that the pairings are very successful, the bond between us. But they are slowly feeding us this command and then building us up. And you also have to understand that some of it is building our confidence to be able to go back out in public and to be in an environment that's out there. So they carefully build a training program that is not just making us successful handling the dog, but it's successfully putting us back out in public where a lot of people are not successful. So K9s has a very difficult job. And there is no secret recipe, which I'm sure they have to throw curveballs and audibles every class, that they have their curriculum. But hey, this vet's not handling this, so now they have to do this. So understand, yes, the dogs are completely trained, but now they are trying to make us successful to go out there in public, as well as they have to assess how we're as veterans are doing in that public environment. So I come in the K9s for Warrior staff on how they delicately evaluate not just how we're doing with the dog, but how we're also doing out there in the environment, and how that dog is assisting us in that environment. And I will tell you, that was one of the things. My first day out with Astro, we went out and we came out, and as soon as we come out of the store, she just shook super hard. And one of the warrior trainers had said something, and they're like, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. I mean," but I didn't understand it. But he said, "What she's doing is all that anxiety and all that
Released
and everything that you have, she's feeling it kind of through the leash, right? And she's shaking all that out. She's releasing it kind of for both y'all. So it's kind of cool.
That's so cool.
Again, that yes, they are there to train us, but they're also there to evaluate and see how things are going and all the dynamics. And yeah, it's a very cool program to go through.
It is. That's amazing.
When Wyatt introduced K9s to our audience, he talked about suicide prevention. That's everyone's. You wake up every day thinking about how you're going to make that go away, eradicate that too. It's just one of the issues, because I think our veterans are facing homelessness, they're facing food insecurity, they're facing the financial challenges as they go through life. But why suicide prevention, and how passionate? What are some of the things that maybe Wyatt, in your group meetings, team meetings, or just mission statements or speaking tours, how are you taking suicide prevention to another level through K9s?
But with K9s, We know that service dogs save lives. And if you go back to June of last year, on the front page of the USA Today in big, bold letters, it says four-legged lifesavers. And that article spoke of our partner, the University of Arizona. It speaks of the evidence that veterans with service dogs actually have a decrease in the severity of PTSD symptoms. It says the anxiety and depression were down, and the well-being and the behavior and the mental health had all improved. And I think for me, I think what is for all of us at K9s for Warriors, I won't just say me, the most rewarding thing about our job is every month a new set of warriors show up on site for 3 weeks. We get to see them on day one, and we get to see them through the entire process. And when you see them on graduation day, it's just not the same person who showed up on day one. They're smiling more. They're feeling love for life again. They're feeling more confident. They're feeling more independent. I think that what is really gets you is when the loved ones of the warriors just come to you and break down and thank you and say, thank you for giving me my spouse back. Thank you for giving me my parent back. Thank you for giving me my child or my friend back. And it's just so amazing to watch that four-legged lifesaver, that battle buddy, just changed the life of that person, even in that short period of time. I'll tell you a quick story. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was with a warrior who was speaking in front of a public audience. She had been through our program years ago, and she had her mother there with her. And she told the story of when she got back from war, she just started taking a bunch of prescription pills. And next thing you know, it led to a heroin addiction. And she was on heroin for years and years and years. She said it was like there was a big hole around her, like a vacuum that just sucked all of her family, her loved ones into this vacuum. And her life was just being destroyed around her. And she reached out to K9s for Warriors. She was accepted into the program. And she knew she had to get clean. So she went to rehab. And when she showed up to rehab, her mom had wrote a letter to her. And it said, look, if you don't take this rehab seriously and get clean, I'm calling K9s for Warriors. And sure enough, she said she visualized that dog, and she visualized coming to our campus that got her through rehab. And all these years later, she's on stage telling the story to so many people, with her mom sitting next to me, bawling her eyes out and just giving the testimony of this transition of her daughter's life, and literally went from a heroin addict and now she's working for the sheriff's department. So you just see such a transformation in so many of our warriors. And it's so much fun to watch. I mean, so many veterans have told me that this dog has saved my life. And for a long time, they don't know how to get the help. And they did, just like Sherry Duvall, our founder, said, the pills weren't working, the therapy wasn't working, but the dog did. And you just hear those success stories of, to Chris's point earlier, they're getting out, they're going to their kids' ball games for the first time. They're going out. I've went out in public with some of the warriors, and they're like, man, I haven't been to a mall in 10 years, or I don't even go to my own kids' ball games. So again, it's just so incredible to watch that transition.
Thank you for sharing that story.
As a military spouse, I understand how unpredictable life can be. Whether it's a PCS move or just everyday expenses, money can be tight. That's why it's so important to have a checking account that works for you.
Armed Forces Bank offers our Access Freedom checking accounts designed with military families in mind. If you're looking for no monthly fees, early military pay, and no fee access to over 38,000 ATMs nationwide, we've got you covered. Plus, with our user-friendly mobile app, managing your money is a breeze, no matter where you're stationed.
And with about 75% of our team affiliated with the military, Armed Forces Bank really understands the challenges faced by the military and their families. We've been supporting military families for over 100 years, so you know we'll always have your back.
If you're ready for a checking account that's as flexible as you are, head over to afbank.com or visit a branch near you. Armed Forces Bank, serving those who serve. Member FDIC, $25 opening deposit and e-statements required. Direct deposit required for early military pay. Closing new accounts within 90 days of opening will result in a $25 early closure fee. Message and data rates charged by your mobile phone carrier may apply.
I also want to touch a little bit on some of the partnerships and the support that you receive. You talked about the expansion. I think, Chris, you mentioned this, that when they expanded the 2 facilities, it cut that wait list in half. I presume that some of the people that you partner with and the support that you receive can continue to chip away at that wait list, that backlog, to try and get it down to 0, which you said is really the goal here, right? So what kind of partnerships do you have today? What types of partnerships do you need to help continue to chip away at that and make sure that you're able to help each and every vet that comes your way with the service dog?
And before you answer, Wyatt, too, that you have the Petco Love K9 Center, right, in San Antonio, the name of it. So that gives it away a little bit that Petco's a fan of you and is supporting you. But the financial needs they're never going to stop for organizations like you. So we need to get the word out there about how people can donate or sponsor and support K9s for Warriors.
Yes. Again, you look at from a garage to 4 beautiful facilities from 2011 to now, and every bit of that has been because of our generous donors. None of it is possible without them. And we have a lot of very large corporate sponsors. It's hard to single just one out because we have a lot of people who align with our mission and are passionate about serving veterans in the community and open up their doors. You mentioned Petco. They're a great partner. They open their doors and they open their checkbooks and they make sure that they are doing everything they can to help us take this wait list down and get that number from 20 to 0. But we also have a lot of individuals and families that are just huge supporters. It doesn't just end with corporate partner sponsorships. The communities around us are incredible. And it's so refreshing for me as a veteran to see so many people in our community that are willing to do whatever it takes to support our veterans who serve our country. And we still obviously have a long way to go, and we are working on that. But K9sforwarriors.org, you can go there, you can donate there. If you know of any corporate sponsorships, tell them, all about us so that they can get in touch with us and we can do things to continue to drive that list down.
Well, I'm sure it's driving the list down. And I'm sure that's also how you're able to do all of this at no expense to the veteran as well.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
So the competitive landscape, right, out there's a few organizations. Years ago, we had sort of sponsored a dog through an organization too, which was very rewarding and satisfying for me personally and for our company to do that, to know that we were getting a dog trained to help a vet at the end of that training cycle. But there are a lot of organizations out there that are doing what you do.
You talk competitive landscape, spending a lot of my career in corporate America, and I would even say in the nonprofit world, competition against one another is common. But in this field, it can't be competitive in any way. It has to be a partnership. It has to be all of us on this mission because there's lives on the line. So I know that I would not let any of the staff at K9s around me try to badmouth another organization that is doing what we're doing. And I will tell you that over the past couple of years, we're opening our doors to all organizations that will come and visit us and see what we do so they can take our ideas back to their own facilities. And on top of that, give us advice. We don't sugarcoat it. Don't filter it. Tell us what you see. Tell us how you feel. Tell us some ideas or things you can do differently, because this is too sensitive and too important. Our job is to save lives, and that cannot be anything other than the best we can every single day. So we have actually partnerships with wellness VSOs that will help the warrior both before they come and after they come. We have dog organizations that don't deal specifically with veterans, but love what we do and want to come help us enhance our training or find new outlets to get dogs. So competitive isn't what it's about, from my opinion. And we've had other service dog industries that do exactly what we do just in the past couple months come and spend time with us. And we have to all do this together. And that's the only way we'll win this war on veteran suicide.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's unique to nonprofits that serve the military community.
Yeah.
Or if it's maybe we spend a lot of time talking to different nonprofits, not all in the service dog space either. And there's this sort of sold out, we're here to help the community. And if we partner together to do that, then so be it. And if we can do more and help more
I think
together,
it's more collaborative,
yeah,
especially when it's a military
I think it's 'cause the
nonprofit.
mission is so clear,
Yeah,
for sure.
the bond.
Yeah.
It's unconditional.
And if I may on this, and I love Wyatt's stance, okay, on this. However, as an end user, I'm not going to badmouth other organizations, but I will tell you the reason why I chose K9s for Warriors is because I saw the end result. You know, I've seen some of my fellow veterans that have gone to other organizations, and some of them it's, hey, they showed up for 2 days and it's, here's your dog, and it was a disaster. I've seen some other organizations that have done something similar and it didn't work. So the reason I chose to go is because I saw the end result. And now as an end user, who's somebody that has successfully graduated and has successfully been paired for a year and a half, I will be an advocate for K9s for Warriors because the amount of effort that they put into it, the program that they do, and then the continued support that you get upon graduation, it's an effective program. Is it a magic wand, a magic pill that works? No. But it is a tool to help a veteran navigate life more successfully than they did before. Again, it's not a cure, but it is a tool to help us navigate, but they are extremely, extremely successful at what they do. So as an end user, I am going to advocate for K9s for Warriors because it is by far the only program that I have firsthand seen that works. And that's the only reason why I'm going. Again, I love Wyatt's stance, but from my perspective, this is the reason why I chose to go through the program for K9s for Warriors.
Yeah, sounds like an endorsement to me. Yeah,
Ringing.
and you're living proof of why you made the choice and why that was exactly the right choice for you. So I appreciate you saying that.
I'm going to go out of order here for a second because that's my way.
Yes, it is.
But Chris, I'm going to stick with you on this one too. And we talked about, you have a motorcycle group with combat vets, but also she and I have had guests that therapeutically, it might be one with nature, right? It might be fishing, it might be bonfires, it might be biofeedback or wellness retreats or hiking. And you may have to dabble, because I know you had wind therapy for a while, Chris, but you may have to dabble in different treatments that resonate, click, make a difference, or find out that this is the one. But you might have to do trial and error a lot too. And, you know, I don't know if there's a formula. I don't know if there's a solution. It's not a one size fits all. You got to find your purpose and find what works for you. But what do you think? Is there any particular rhyme or reason to a formula that works so that we can get to that solution quicker? Or you just have to test the waters?
So I think testing the waters. Again, like I said, what K9s for Warriors does is not a cure, but it is a very useful tool to help you navigate. So kind of going to my group. My group is the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, and it is a group of combat veterans that like to ride motorcycles. So what you did is it brought a commonality, a bunch of people that have been to combat that just love to ride motorcycles. And you get out there and ride, and there's no care in the world, and you just go. The downside for me was I drink a lot, because where do we go? We went to a lot of bars and this and that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or whatever, but that was my therapy. Now that I have Astro, I used to be on the Harley 90% of the time. So when I got Astro and I started showing up in my truck, people were like, whoa.
I know you have to get a sidecar.
I was just to say that, a sidecar for
get Astro some goggles.
So let me get down this road, because believe me, I have went through this and I have talked to the K9 staff. So my buddy that again has gone through this program, he actually got a sidecar, and K9s helped him work with a company that donated a sidecar for him. And again, this is what I love about K9s Warriors. They don't you just graduate and you go. No, they help you navigate life. So this guy, I sold him because I had two Harleys. So I sold him one of my Harleys. He got a sidecar donated. They put it on. He put his service dog in there, and we would go to events and this and that. And this is kind of, again, how I started learning a little bit more about K9s Warriors. The downside is you can't ride the motorcycle the way it's made to be ridden with the sidecar. You can't get into the curves. You can't lean and do this and that. So then whenever I went through the program, because again, I rode 90% of the time, it's like, okay, I'll take a trailer and convert it into something for my dog. But then if I get rear-ended, she's going to be the one that gets hit. or you get the fumes that come off, you get the exhaust that comes off. So scratch that idea. Then you have all these things that go on the back behind you, right? On the back seat. And talking to the K9 staff, you have two choices then. One, you latch her in. The downside is if you get into an accident and you fly off the bike and the bike goes flipping, she's going to go with the bike. What could potentially happen? She gets killed. The other option is you don't latch her in. You both go flying off. You both potentially successfully live. But what is a dog probably going to do after a traumatic event like that? Take off. Whether she runs away or whether she runs and gets hit by a car, the potential is none of it is good. And with the amount of time and effort that goes into training one of these service dogs, I just came to the realization it is, as much as I love to ride, it's not worth putting her through it. It's really not. So now I have to find a balance, and kind of like to go into your question is there is no magic formula, but there are some things. And the only reason why I don't ride as much as I used to is Astro loves me so much that she does not like to be away from me. So I feel bad. And I've worked with K9s for Warriors on separation anxiety. Like, hey, I feel bad. I thought I could have more time away from her. And I can. It's just she loves me so much. She doesn't like me to be away. So K9s has helped me navigate that so I can find a balance to where I can ride a little bit more. Because again, I don't want to ride with her because the time and effort and the money, and let's take the time and effort and the money and all that and put it to the side. But the amount of value that I get from my service dog that I receive from K9s for Warriors, it's priceless. So I'm not going to risk putting her on a bike with me and potentially get into an accident and losing her. Now, don't get me wrong. I hope we die together. To be honest, I really, and people could say it's morbid, but I will never get a service dog again. After the bond that her and I have, I will never get another one again. The reason being is if our bond or something, I'm afraid that I would always hold the other dog to this standard. And if it doesn't work, I'm afraid that I would go into a downward spiral. And I could potentially go into one of those statistics of veteran suicide. Because again, this pairing and what K9s does is successful. But I think I've had such a good thing with Astro that if I ever had another one, and if it wasn't as good, I think it could put me in a downward spiral. So yeah, so again, there is no magic formula, and there are different tools out there, and it's you find what works, and sometimes this works, and sometimes this works, and sometimes you got to have a little combination of it all.
I think that separation anxiety comment that Chris said goes both ways, right? Mm-hmm. There's mutual.
Yeah.
Because I get it with our dogs.
I know.
You probably get it with 3 out of 5 dogs.
My husband gets it worse.
Does he?
The Chihuahuas are his. So he's a 6'4", 270, great big guy, right? And he's got Chihuahuas. And so it's kind of funny anyway, just to see them together.
Works, so.
But yeah, he's already talking sad to him.
When you walk a dog at that, do people give you a second look because of the size disparity?
They don't go on walks. They just run crazy
in the yard
and in our house. Yeah. Yeah. They walk you is how that works. They are the opposite of Astro, who is very well trained, has not made a peep during this entire podcast. Our dogs will be climbing on the shelves behind and acting.
Which is why you schedule it at 9:00 Central, because that's nap time.
Right? Yes. Chihuahuas never sleep. But so I want to talk about something maybe kind of fun. I know Tom tried to hit Chris up to get literally the shirt off his back.
Yeah, Wyatt missed that. So he's got to go back to Carly Kramer and say, we need 12 shirts.
So Tom always asks for free stuff. That's his thing. But I noticed on the website that you have a swag shop, and I am always good for a good t-shirt. I'm a big fan of a good coffee cup because you can't have too much coffee. Tell us about that. How does the money from that maybe go to help the program, and what would people find out there?
Yeah, so all of our merch sales go directly back to the mission to save veterans and rescue dogs. And, that store is constantly getting updated. I just implore everybody to go out there, take a look at it. We want you to wear our logo out in public. You don't ever know when there's a warrior in your inner circle or even your outer circle that you may run into and just say, hey, what is K9s for Warriors? And you never know, that could be the life-saving bridge to that warrior to connect them with us so that we can get them started through the process and work on getting them the tool that they may need to help navigate through life. But it's fun stuff. Like you said, Jodi, there's cups, there's hats, there's shirts, there's all kinds of stuff out there, and it's constantly changing. So if you buy everything, just keep looking, because there's more stuff that'll pop up, but it's out there. And again, all merch sales go directly to our warriors and rescuing dogs.
That's awesome. So Tom, go to the website, K9sforwarriors.org, and buy your own swag.
We're going to talk to Carly too, Tom. Don't worry.
Yeah, talk to Carly first.
Don't encourage his bad behavior.
And I'm sure
I know they're going to be mad at me for saying that probably too. So
whatever I purchase, you'll say, "Did you get 2 of them, Tom?"
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You need my sizes.
All right. So here's a name. You talked about how much we all love sports, but so Billy Horschel. What's Billy Horschel have to do with K9s for Warriors?
Billy Horschel is such a great partner for us. He's continuously sponsoring dogs. He's a big advocate for us. We were just with him out at TPC in Jacksonville, and it was, or Ponte Vedra, and it was just such an amazing experience to hang out with him. And he's so passionate about serving veterans, and of course, absolutely loves dogs. So we continue to just thank him for that partnership. And again, he just continues to sponsor dogs and tell people who we are and all about us.
Is he in the field for the PGA Championship this weekend?
I believe so, yes.
All right. We'll be.
I just now realized he was a golfer.
Oh, it took you that long?
It did. I'm terrible.
I should have said that for your benefit. Sorry.
Thank you.
Billy Horschel's a bowler.
Actually?
No, he's a golfer.
No, because PBA and PGA sound very similar. One letter difference.
But we talked about ways to donate, going to your website. We talked about the swag. We talked about just a whole slew of things, right? But programs or events, do you have any signature programs or events that are, from a calendar perspective, that you want to announce to the audience that are either coming up or that are nationally or locally?
Yes, we have signature events that happen all over the country. We have our inaugural golf tournament this Friday in San Antonio, Texas. But that's just one example. We have a bunch of signature events that take place. You can find out there on our website at K9sforwarriors.org. They're always popping up. We're always receiving partnerships where people want to partner with us and pull us along with their events. So please go out there and check that out. It'll tell you everything that you need to know. You can also make a donation on that website. You can learn about volunteer activities on that website. Again, we talked throughout about fostering dogs. We love to get dogs out of our kennels so that they can feel what it's like to be in a home environment before they're paired with a warrior. On top of that, it's a healthier situation for a dog to be in, and it allows us to see how our dogs that are being trained are going to react with potentially other dogs in a household and other people. And the puppy raising, and there's always volunteer activities, signature events taking place. So please go out to our website and check things out and learn all about us.
K9sforwarriors.org.
I know we can't say that enough. There's a lot of information out there that we've talked about today. So as we wrap, I want to give Chris just a chance to share maybe some just general life advice with our audience. You served in the Navy for 22 years. My husband was Army veteran for 20 years. So we'll have to contact each other for the Army Navy game, I guess, and figure out
no rivalry there.
How that's going to work.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give somebody that's in our audience listening and they're thinking about a career in the military, and what would you share with them to think about as they make that big decision?
So, I mean, the biggest thing is it's a stepping stone, right? So I've had a very diverse career. I was very lucky. I still have all my fingers. I have all my toes. So I'm very lucky, but it's a stepping stone. It's not going to hurt you. And in fact, it's going to do your parents a favor because it's going to get you up off their couch. It's going to get you out there. The military, no matter which branch of service you go into, they give you all the Maslow's needs of hierarchy, right? They put a roof over your head. They put clothes on your back, food in your belly. So everything you need, the military is going to give you. And then they give you a little bit of money to go along with it. And potentially you get to travel all around the world. Now, I will say that it's funny because my dad was in the military. I've had a lot of military. And towards the end, when I was going to join, my dad kind of talked me out of it. And he said, "Hey, son, it's changed a lot. So I don't know if this is going to be for you." And I said, "No, Dad, it'll be good." And it actually was good. But I will tell you my last 5 years, the military had kind of changed quite a bit, where I was like, wow, this has been a big shift. And even now, I just met with the senior chief this weekend whenever I was up in Maryland visiting my kids, and he was telling me about some of the stuff that's going on now as a chief to chief type thing. And I'm just like, I don't know how you serve right now. So, it is very different, but at the end of the day, there's so many benefits that come from it, because again, all the needs that you need in life, they're going to give it to you. They're going to put some discipline in you. They're going to give you some structure. Then there's benefits that come with it later on in life. Like, you may not think you want to go to college right now, but there is a post 9/11 GI Bill that you can use to go to school. If you choose not to use it, your spouse or your kids can use it. If you decide to make a career. So like right now, I'm not quite 50 years old, but I get 2 checks from the government right now. I get my disability check and I get my retirement check. I don't have to work right now, but I choose to work because, one, I need to stay busy and I need to keep my mind a little bit sharp. And I still have kids I have to pay for. My youngest just graduated with her bachelor's in business, and now she's going to go get her MBA, kind of like Wyatt, except Wyatt wants it for the education, but she's driven and she wants to go get it. But so I am working to also help finish my kids get through that. But I mean, there's just so many benefits that you get from the military. Oh, and let me tell you, insurance, whenever I retired and I got out and saw what civilians had to pay for insurance, I was like, holy cow, thank goodness I can get TRICARE.
Yes.
Because I'm paying pennies on the dollar. And I know young kids aren't going to understand all that stuff right now, and they're not going to understand finances. Like, we had thrift savings plans, so they have all these opportunities for you to invest and do this and that. They have tuition assistance to help you get a college education. So I know this isn't a great recruiting speech right now, to be honest with you, because it has changed a lot, but it is. It's a stepping stone, and whether you use it for a career or you use it for 4 years and get out, there are great opportunities. Yes, I don't think it's quite what it was when back when Wyatt and I were in and your husband was in. But I mean, again, it's not going to hurt you. It can be a stepping stone, or it can be something that can catapult you on to a bigger and better future.
Yes.
But in anything in life, what you put into it is what you're going to get out.
That is so true. Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest advice I can give you, is what you put into it is what you're going to get out.
You are right. The one comment you make about when you're 17 or 18 or 19 and enlisting, you only really think about the here and now sometimes. And even in the civilian world, when we talk about 401ks with our younger new hires, they don't look to 60 or 65 and say, wow, look what it's done by just paying myself first, or investing in myself, or investing in myself to understand my job the way I should to contribute. That it's you're exactly right, Chris. It's what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And if you're not putting anything into it, why are you doing it?
And I will second
That's
what he said about
advice,
the TRICARE
right?
premium.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Living proof.
Living proof. I second that wholeheartedly. Well, I think it might be time, Tom.
Time for the military minute.
Yeah. If y'all are game to stick around for just another maybe 2 minutes, we like to close every podcast with a game we affectionately call the Military Minute. Our last Military Minute trivia question had to do with our last guest, and it was a question about Month of the Military Child. And so if either of you know the answer to this, you are welcome to wager a guess, but you don't have to.
Since it's a two-parter, they can each answer one part.
You could at least wildly guess at the first one because it's a year. So,
all right.
What year was the Month of the Military Child established, and by whom? Any guesses?
They have a combined 26 years of military experience. They'll know this.
I wouldn't know this one.
I'm really banking on you, Chris. I need to hear.
So I'm going to throw a shout out to be honest with you, I'm going to throw a shout out to Pinups for Vets. So I always get these Pinups for Vets calendar. That's another great organization that helps vets. And on there, they always have these dates, and they have all this stuff that probably, if I was at my house, it probably would have helped me answer this trivia question, because
I thought you were going to pop out the answer because you'd seen it on a calendar. My brain fell out of my chair, man.
My brain is mush. So
yeah,
I have to cheat, and I have to have all these things that help me out.
Well, Wyatt's Googling right now through it, just using his eyes. Yes. So he's going to get the answer.
Well, I wish.
Well, I'm going to help you both out because I didn't know either. So it was established in 1986 by Caspar Weinberger. I would never have known that had you.
But isn't that an interesting, like, useless fact?
It
that
is.
we put
You
in
are
the
full
archive?
of interesting, useless facts,
Jodi?
I find. But that one is interesting and relevant to our audience. But this week's
This
military
one's
minute,
relevant to the.
this one is relevant somewhat to y'all. And so you can't answer because we are going to tee this one up for our audience so that they can wager their best guess when we drop the podcast and they put their best answer in the comments. So don't answer, but like give us a thumbs up if you know. What breed of dog worked as scouts and messengers during a U.S. Pacific operation in World War II? Either of you know? Thumbs up. Don't answer out loud. Facial expressions tell me maybe not.
Facial expressions look like they have no
You should
idea.
never play poker is what I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
You got me.
Okay.
right.
Well, then you'll have to tune in to the next
I know,
episode.
but I'm not 100%.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
tell you after we stop recording. But if you're in our audience and on the first question on our last episode, if you guessed or stated, if it wasn't a guess, if you actually knew, 1986 Casper Weinberger, and or if you get this week's right, watch for your name to be posted as the winner of $50 for yourself and $50 to a charity of your choice, which you could donate to K9s for Warriors. You could spend it in their swag shop. That would be awesome. And that's all.
By the way, Joshua Hall, does that name ring a bell?
Yes.
Once he knew Chris was doing a podcast, he reached out to me and I told him I was in Florida this past weekend. He goes, come on by and it's to our headquarters, even though I was in Tampa. It's a little jaunt. It's a jaunt from Tampa to,
Yeah.
it's like
A couple hours.
Like-
Yeah.
like
It's about a
four-ish.
3.5 hour
Yeah.
drive. Yeah.
But that was very nice. So I don't think the story ends with the podcast. I think certainly Armed Forces Bank is a fan of what you're doing, and we appreciate
Most definitely.
your service to our country, but also service and keeping a legacy alive for everybody that needs you.
Tom and Jodi, you're always welcome to come to any of our campuses. Just let us know. We'd love to show you around.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris, Wyatt. And if you've enjoyed today's episode as much as Astro has, right? Because Astro listened intently, right, Chris? Go to afbank.com and you can subscribe to the show. You can rate us. You can leave us a comment on your favorite podcast platform like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen,
It was
to
a treat
have the
to meet you both.
conversation. Thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for giving us this platform.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye. Copyright Armed Forces Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All non-Armed Forces Bank owned apps, websites, company names, and product names are trademarks or registered trademarks of their respective owners. Their mention does not imply any affiliation with or endorsement by Armed Forces Bank of them or their products and services. They are merely used as examples of the many available apps, companies, and websites that offer similar services. Before using any app or website, you should carefully review the terms of use, data collection, and privacy policy. Apps may have an initial cost or in-application purchase features. This information is general in nature and is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Although Armed Forces Bank believes this information to be accurate, it cannot ensure that it could change. Statements or opinions of individuals referenced herein are their own, not Armed Forces Bank. Consult an appropriate professional concerning your specific situation and respective governing bodies for applicable laws, such as IRS.gov for current tax law. Armed Forces Bank, the Armed Forces Bank logo, and the Militarily Speaking logo are registered trademarks of Armed Forces Bank.